Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I am going to talk about how do we become fat. That is, how does the body deposit fat in different areas of the body. So as per the common understanding, we all know that if we eat a lot of sugar, if we eat processed food, if we do overeating or junk food, we get fat. But let's try to understand what happens exactly inside the body so that the body starts depositing the fat in the areas, different areas like abdomen, thighs, etc. etc. So let's get into the physiology, how the fat is deposited. This video will focus only on that. So for this video, let's assume a healthy functioning human body and the person has already had food, and whatever carbohydrates and sugars were present in the food are now converted into glucose. So let's start from there. So friends, I have tried to make a diagram of the entire process. Let's assume that this is the bloodstream and lot of glucose molecules are already present inside the bloodstream. So I have marked it here as glucose. Now here I am not talking about the quantity of glucose, whether it is very high or low or normal. I am just showing that glucose is already present. Let's assume it's normal. Now once the glucose is starting to rise in the bloodstream after having food, what happens is the pancreas releases the insulin hormone. Some of the insulin hormone is already present in the blood, which is the minimum required. Normal insulin level is always present in the blood. But if the glucose rises little bit beyond that, then the pancreas starts releasing more insulin hormone inside the blood. So now let's assume that the insulin hormone is present in the blood. Now once the blood has already glucose molecules inside, the insulin is also released. Now the job of the insulin hormone is to facilitate the glucose molecules inside different cells. So now let's see how glucose is distributed in different parts in the form of glycogen. We will talk about that. So first and foremost, the glucose is facilitated inside the liver and the muscle cells. So insulin's job is to transport it inside the liver and the muscle cells. Now there is a limited capacity of the liver and the muscles to store the glucose in the form of glycogen. Liver will store around 100 grams of glycogen. So here you can see the molecules are now transported into the liver. Here it is in the muscle cell, so I have tried to picturize it as a muscle cell. Okay, and here you can see that the glucose is transported into the muscle cells. So muscle cells have the capacity of around 300 to 400 grams of glycogen. So that is also filled up by the glucose which is present. Now once this is filled up, after that the glucose, which is the remaining glucose, let's say there is still a lot of glucose inside the blood and the insulin hormone is also produced to handle that glucose. Then the glucose molecules are transported in the fat cells. Now here one important thing to note is that the fat cells does not have any limited size. It is unlimited. That is the reason we get fat. This I have tried to show it in a very simple manner. Now let's assume that the glucose is still getting inside the blood, still more glucose is coming inside the blood. At that time the pancreas will again release more insulin hormone. So every time glucose is present in the blood, high amount of glucose, insulin hormone is released by the pancreas. And that is how the body handles when there is a lot of sugar intake inside the body. Now how is the glucose or glycogen stored being utilized? Let's talk about that. So whenever we do any physical activity, so I have shown that muscle already has, all the muscles of the body already has 300 to 400, this is approximate number, there is no fixed number, has the glycogen stored inside the muscle. So whenever we do any physical activity, that muscle glycogen is utilized for energy. Okay, it is converted into ATP and all, lot of process around that also, and finally it is utilized by physical activity. The glycogen which is stored in liver is kind of a buffer. Let's say there is lack of glycogen or lack of blood sugar. At that time this buffer is being utilized. So by now you must have already guessed that if this is already full, how will this be utilized? This will never be utilized till the time this is full, right? So as and when glucose intake is happening, the more the glucose, the more fat deposit it is going to happen. So to make it more simpler, I have just given some examples here. So let's consider the muscle glycogen as a current account from where you are keeping on utilizing it as and when you are doing the physical activity. This you can say it as a savings account, and this is like a fixed deposit which you have to break if you want to lose this. So friends, I have tried to show the mechanism, the physiology, how the fat gets deposited in the body in a very simple way. If you like this video, please give your comments and please share this video with your friends. Thank you.